Welcome to this episode of Agency Success GPS Podcast. I am honored and privileged to have a good friend of mine on. His name is Mike Zeller. He's known as one of the top entrepreneur and mentor kind of business architects for small businesses. He's, I think, on his 16th or 17th business, and he has just released, is about to release his new book called Twice Born: How a Crisis Can Remake You. And this topic hit very close to home with me because if you don't know the story, one of the reasons that I sold my agency is because I had so many personal things in my life, kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of a higher power or God coming down and showing me that it really is about the journey, and you need to understand and appreciate the journey. So Mike has a passion for travel. He tries to do at least 5 countries a year. I think when I was talking to him, he was in Costa Rica, if I remember correctly. And so he lives that. I've known him for 4 or 5 years now. And he's just one of the good guys out there. He is passionate about helping entrepreneurs predominantly kind of make the transition from the entrepreneur into the CEO role. He has a mastermind around that, and so he's definitely somebody that I listen to, and I'd highly recommend you do the same. I hope you enjoy the episode. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Excited about this podcast, this topic, because I personally had a major issue with this one. I think some people can cross that chasm between being, that hustler, that entrepreneur, that jack of all trades, just get up and just work harder than anybody else. Hustler kind of mentality. I think you call them an operator instead of a CEO. And we're going to talk today about what it takes to pivot out of that mindset, that like I said, that entrepreneur kind of just get up and work harder than anybody else kind of mentality, and then pivot into a CEO mindset. Mike, welcome to my show. Take a second here, if you don't mind, and do another introduction. I already kind of told them a little bit about yourself, but kind of tell them who you are and what we're here to talk about. So,
Lee, so pumped to connect with you today. As always, it's a treat to connect with one of the smartest guys in the world at email marketing and just marketing in general and building agencies. So today, as we go through this, having started and grown 16 plus businesses and investing in multiple other entities, I've seen that there's patterns. There's patterns of when we get enslaved to the operations. And one of my favorite quotes says, "Great operators get tired. Great business owners get rich." And so at the end of the day, we start these businesses. We start these agencies. We start whatever we start because we have this entrepreneurial dream. But for far too many, we never achieve that entrepreneurial dream, or it takes us a lot longer to achieve it than necessary because we're slugging away as a business operator. And you have to be in operations for a season. You can't stay there.
So true. And the same thing, by the way, the same thing that gets you to the luxury of being a business owner, a CEO type role, is the same thing that's probably going to hold you back when you get there. Mike and I were talking about this a little bit offline about how, for me, I'm telling you, this was really, really difficult. I had an unbelievably hard time making that transition because what got me there was just, again, drive, just hustle, just simply staying later, getting up earlier, working harder, want to get more, right? And it's difficult for an entrepreneur to give up on. It's not, I guess I shouldn't say you're not giving up on that. You still have to have that drive. You still have to keep that going. But the skill set you have to learn is completely different. I'd like to spend a few minutes in talking about the differences between, like, let's just pick the top 3 things. Like an entrepreneur, hustler guy will do this in the morning. A CEO will do this in the morning. So what is the difference? I mean, what if you're going to pick 2 or 3 things to put a real world tangible, when you get to this phase, expect these 2 or 3 things. What do you think, Mike? I mean, I can think of 1 or 2, but I mean, what do you think?
So the first one, great question, Lee. The first one that comes to mind, and I think it's the most important distinction for me, at least, the business owner, they wake up thinking about, what do I need to get done today? The business owner thinks, what are the key decisions I need to make today?
Subtle. Wait, you said the owner twice. The operator gets up and thinks about the task, the checklist kind of thing.
Yeah.
The owner gets up and thinks about the direction, vision, and what that big picture has to get done
What?
today. Is that right? I want to.
Yeah.
You said owner twice. I want to make sure and clarify because that'd be a little
Sorry.
confusing.
Yeah. My bad. So the business operator gets up thinking about, hey, what do I need to get done?
Yeah.
The business owner wakes up and thinks about, what decisions do I need to make today?
Yep.
And because your decisions as your business grows, they magnify, they make massive differences in your organization. And when we as we grow in our business, we need to be focused more and more on making great decisions and less on doing things.
Well, amen on that, right? One of the biggest things for me what was for me is how I communicated. I never had a problem with communicating. If anything, I over communicate, but how I communicated, meaning that as I was kind of pivoting from that hustler entrepreneur, just work harder than anybody else, into a CEO role, I realized that me hustling and communicating and going, hey, let's do this, moving 1,000 miles per hour, it's costing me a bloody fortune. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, it cost me, millions probably, because I would come into the pit. We called it the pit. And so we had 23 programmers and 40 plus about, it was an operation. It was a substantial operation. And I would come in there and now that I'm a CEO and I've got a leadership team, people looked at me differently because as an entrepreneur, you're kind of just part of the team. But now you're a CEO, you're almost you're not untouchable, but there's a different perception per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that when I would come into the pit and I'd be like, hey guys, girls, what's going on? Let's take a look at this. And as an entrepreneur with my leadership team, they know that this is kind of a brainstorming thing, but with employees, they're like, okay, Lee wants to look at this. And next thing you know is all of them are diving headfirst into researching this topic. And I just completely screwed up all of the operational tasks for that day because they thought I was coming in I'm sorry, let me phrase that. I came in on a whim and did that. They thought it was like a direct order. And then next thing you know is I lose a whole day with a couple dozen people or whatever. That's kind of an extreme scenario.
Yeah.
But how I communicated, meaning that you really got to be more methodical. You got to think it through. You got to document it. And my leadership team taught me this. Because I am the typical fast moving entrepreneur, I'd come in and do that. They're like, Lee, I tell you what, if it's important enough for you to want to get this done as a company-wide thing, I was the baby in the room. I was the one kicking and screaming. This is my baby. Are you kidding me? I can go do what I want to with it. And so after seeing it cost me a fortune, they were like, okay, just document it, right? So you have to learn to document things at a dramatically higher level. This is why a huge percentage of CEOs are attorneys or English majors.
Wow.
Because they can communicate better with the written word, the documented word. And it's a big step that you have to learn to do as a CEO. And that one I actually had an issue with. I got better at it, a lot better at it, but it was a tough thing for me to pivot because it goes against, I'm sitting in a room writing things for other people to do instead of me just going and doing. And that frustrated the piss out of me, And so there's a couple of us. Give us one more. Give us a third one. What else would you put in that list?
So additionally, the business owner, they take a lot of pride in getting things done through other people. The business operator takes so much pride in getting things done by themselves or with, like, this is their accomplishment. So you as the business owner, what you end up shifting is you got to shift in the days, in your work weeks. Your sole goal, one of your primary goals, I wouldn't say sole goal, but one of your primary goals is to actually be looking around, like, who do I need to hire? Who's missing from my team? You are actually
you're an enabler. Actually, is your job is to become an enabler to in a positive context, not a negative context in this environment. But you really are. It's your job to make sure you're keeping the wheels greased, right? So.
Yeah, you're enabling your team. So you're a big goal for you as a business owner, as an active business owner, is to, and I make the distinction. There's passive business owners where you just put money in, but you're not taking any part in a business. But as an active business owner, part of your goal is you got to build a healthy organization, and you got to enable people to perform at their highest and best. So you're designing out the ecosystem, you're designing out the culture, and you're cultivating, and then you're also cultivating who do you attract that is going to enhance our company, that is going to complement, that is going to make us go to the next level, versus the doer You're like, man, all right, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. I got to get this done right now. Like you're jumping and you're like trying to get things done, and your whole identity is wrapped up on how much stuff you get done
Right.
versus how you empowered others to get things done.
Yep, and boy, I was definitely that's why I always stepped in the pit and did that. Another thing is that uh, back to the enabler kind of comment. The supporting one thing I underestimated was the amount of supporting staff that you have to support the actual billable hour people.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I had these programmers and designers and things like that. Though they were actually billable. In other words, they brought money into the organization, but
Mm-hmm.
my leadership team, my accounting, my operations, my office managers, I want to say it was out of the 42 or 43 employees, I want to say about 23 or 24 of them were actually billable. Wait, 24, 25 of them were billable and the
Mm-hmm.
remaining were not. And that percentage alarmed me because that's why when these large organizations get into what's called the middle management layer, that's why you got to get these prices up so high. You can't afford to grow until you get those numbers up.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you see when people are trying to pivot out of the hustle or the entrepreneur role into the CEO role? I know what mine's going to be. I'm extremely interested in hearing what you're going to say on this. So.
Yeah. I'd say biggest mistake that I see is they don't ask for help soon enough.
Yeah, yeah. I think you just beat mine. I think I'm. This is definitely yeah, no doubt. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
No, all good. So it's like it can be coaching, asking for coaching, mentors like yourself, mentors like myself, masterminds, getting involved where you accelerate. Like one of the other key things that a business owner has to shift from is you have to shift into like, man, I'm the lid on the organization, and my investment in myself, my time away from work actually pays dividends
Huge.
if I do it right.
Yep.
Pays massive dividends. So your investment in yourself, like, and that's can also help from your team. Like your team, like lean on them to grow, shift from the operator to owner. Like they're if you're if you explain it properly, they will want you to be away. They will want you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
work on the business because they know there's gaps and they want to be a part of something bigger and better.
Funny story around that. I remember the only reason I actually went through the whole process of migrating out of an entrepreneur into a CEO role is because honestly, I was forced. Life, God, whatever the hell you want to call it, pretty much. I wouldn't have done that. I probably would not have done it. Right now, granted, we were we'd broken the 7-figure mark. We were a success, I think, by just about anybody's measuring stick at that time. We were doing good, but I was the problem. I mean, I was holding me back and holding all of us back, and as a result of uh, just some personal stuff, divorce and my father. Anyway, just a litany of in a matter of 4 months, all the things in my personal life that I cherished and held dear kind of just went, gone, or not gone, but it was a really rough patch in my life. And um, I come into the office one day and I set my leadership team down. I look them dead in the eye, almost with tears in my eyes, because you don't want to let your key people down. I felt like I genuinely in my soul felt like I was about to let them down. I mean, it kept me up for days, worrying about this. I get in there and I tell them what's going on. And I tell them that I have to take time out of the business. I don't have an option. My family, I got to pull back. I cannot do 60, 70, 80 hours a week, of which I was just accustomed to. I didn't even realize. I didn't even think about it. It was it's just what I did, right? We all did. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. And I will never forget the look on their face. They all looked at me. They looked at me like confused, and they looked at each other. Is this guy as dumb as what do you think we've been? They at that point had been working with me for years. I don't know how, a long time. So in other words, we had a very strong relationship. And they looked at me and were like, "What do you think we're here for?"
Hmm.
And that made such a big impact on me because I was like, duh, these people are brilliant and you're paying, get out of their damn way, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right?
Exactly.
Get out of the way because they believe in this as much as you do. And I'm telling you, that moment, I will never forget that moment. From that moment, I started removing myself from my agency. Jump ahead a year and a half, 2 years. I'm at that point, I'm working 2 hours. I went from 70 to 2 hours a week.
Wow.
Okay. It took about, it's probably closer to 18 months, 24. I don't have the exact time frame, somewhere 18 months to 2 years. But and as a result of me removing myself, my agency started taking off even more. It was already growing. Every single year we grew. It wasn't like it was, but I just started seeing everything. Employees are getting better follow-up from an operations manager because it wasn't waiting for Lee to fly through the room at 35,000 miles per hour and say, yeah, in other words, not giving any thought. Now I got somebody in there dedicated to thinking this stuff through and getting it done properly, right? And it was just amazing. So I'll just kind of follow up. The biggest mistake that I see is this. I hear this all of the time. I just need to replace me. I want to hire somebody like me. If I can just go find somebody like me, oh, man, I'm kicking my laptop. If I can just find somebody like me, man, we're good. Well, first off, that's wrong on so many levels. Okay, I mean it's wrong on so many levels. At the top of the list, one, you're already really good at being you. Why would you hire someone that's like you? You need to find somebody to complement what you suck at. That's duh. Yep. Okay. Two, there's no such thing as finding someone to replace you because you are the entrepreneur. It is your vision. If you hire someone with an entrepreneurial brain to come in and take all your information, what do you think they're going to do after they get the information? Yeah. They're out. They're going to go start another 17th business like Mike did. Right?
Exactly.
Right? Right? Okay, that's how that works. And number three, the way you replicate an entrepreneur, and nobody wants to hear this, but this is the truth, is through systems and processes. As the entrepreneur, you replicate yourself. You put in systems and processes to take place of what you were doing before. Therefore, you can sleep at night knowing it's getting done properly. So, have you ever found that? You run into that, Mike? I mean, I just wonder if I can find somebody like me, I'm okay.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, you gave a great breakdown, Lee. It's like, man, as you're building the business, the goal is not to replace you with someone just like you. It's to really, again, design the team. And what are the gaps? Like we as the entrepreneurs, we're the risk takers. Progress depends on us because we're going to be that entrepreneurial spirit. And, you ideally want the whole organization to have elements of that. But, you start a CEO role is also different than the entrepreneur role. The entrepreneur role is like, man, some people function well as both. But more often than not, like, I know I'm not a great CEO. I probably never will be.
Dude, I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
I hate it. It's not that I hated it. I felt I was disconnected. I don't know how to explain that, but I didn't like it. One of the big reasons when you sell a business, it's not like it's, there's one reason, that to sell a business. A lot of times there are dozens of reasons on that lead up to that big decision. But one of them was for sure, I missed being in the trenches, man. I missed being in the trenches with guys like you, doing this kind of stuff right here, right? I had a business development manager that was doing the speaking and doing all this stuff for me. And, CEO, they were taking care of all that stuff for me, right? Which is great in theory. And it was wonderful. It's what I wanted. It's what I worked for to get, right? And then all of a sudden I got it and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like this at all. You know what I mean? And then here I am. So,
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Well, Mike, you got any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was curious for you, how does it feel making that shift to where you made there? Like to what are you loving about this new pathway that you have for yourself? I'm curious.
Quality of life. For me, that's 100. That's everything now. My identity got so caught up in being the CEO and the entrepreneur. The move mountains. No one can do it better than me. I don't know. I'm not a million different little sayings that could probably fall into that category. But for me, it's, with all that stuff that happened to me in my personal life, and then I had some health issues as well. I don't even think you know about those. I actually had a heart attack about 4 years ago. Yeah, the big one, the wheezy, the big one. And whenever when things like that happen, it fundamentally changes you as an individual, man, woman, whatever. And And so now it's not about going big for me. It's about really moving the needle for a smaller group of people. I
Mm.
really want to make a real substantive change in people's lives, starting
Mm.
with my little girl, right? So that's,
Mm.
I have an 11-year-old little girl that I just pour into, all day,
Mm.
every day, just do the best I can with it. And family, and I don't want to work any more than around about 35 hours a week. Got a couple of different little businesses, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what I did. So
Love it.
yeah,
Yeah, well, and you've got real genius, so it's just a matter of, like how to leveraging it even more thoughtfully and intentionally, and you're doing it. So I'm grateful to see that for you.
it's a constant work in progress, man. It's a constant work in progress. So uh, I say this to my daughter all the time. I'm like, baby girl, that's like, there's only one thing in this world you can't do, right? She's like, and now she knows the answer because I've been saying it to her forever. But at first she's like, no, daddy, what is that? And I'm like, it's the one thing you say you can't. If
Yeah.
you tell yourself that you can't, you're right. You will never do it. You're damn right. 100% spot on.
That's right.
But being the entrepreneur dad that you're entrepreneur. I came from, you know, Mississippi, just deep South, closest thing to third world education you're going to find in the United States. That's true. Okay. And so if I can do it, okay, then I don't want to hear a damn word out of, if I can do it from my upbringing, did not have a silver spoon, and, just didn't have I did not start out on the same, everybody kind of starts out on their own little stepping, their own level there. Right. And, uh, I'm not going to say I was at the bottom, not even close, because I'm an American and I'm in America, right? But in America, I wasn't too far from the bottom, right? And so climbed on up. And that's what I tell her all the time. I was like, you have to get out there and believe in yourself and work hard, and you can do it. So,
Love it.
yeah. So,
So good.
all right, Mike, this is the shameless plug moment. And
All right.
so throw it out there. You got a new book coming out. Wait, don't you have a new book? Did you tell me you have a new book?
Yeah, yeah.
What's the name of the new book? You told me, what's it?
Twiceborn.
Twice Born, How a Crisis Can Remake. Hey, I got to read this one, because tell us about this new book you got coming out.
Yeah. So 2017, 2018, 2019, I just had like a string of about 7 different things. I mean, I had positive things happen, but I had 7 different things that went wrong that cost me over $1 million.
Mm.
And so I was just pummeled. I felt pummeled, and I was like, I was what I like to call Magic Mike beforehand, where all my businesses were up and to the right, and then boom, 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 one thing after another, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 hits, whatever, and really, I had to surrender. I had to, there's things that plenty of decisions I made that would have made differently. Plenty of areas I need to grow as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a man, but there was also things that were outside of my control, that it's almost like that divine storm. Maston Kipp writes about in Claim Your Power of like, man, sometimes you go through a divine storm in your life. And this is a journey of like how I navigated that divine storm. Like I went through in the depths of it. I'd have weeks, I'd wake up, I'm like, man, how am I going to freaking pay my team this week? And those moments of like, dude, where's the cash going to come from? And it might be, sometimes it felt like it was 7 weeks in a row that I would be worrying about payroll,
I've been there.
or
It
7.
sucks.
Oh, dude, it does.
It's man, not a whole. It sucks, man. I'm sorry you went through that. Sounds like you're coming out the other end of it pretty strong,
Oh
though. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, where I'm at now, I'm so grateful for it. But when you're in the season of hell, it's no fun. But
No
it's like that.
doubt. Been there. Sucks. It sucks, but it's tough. So
Yeah, but you look like an old metaphor I love is mountain climber gets to the top of the mountain. He's achieved this big accomplishment, and he's looking around the top of the mountain, and it's cold and it's windy, and there's nothing but rocks. There's no animals. But then he looks down in the valley, and the deeper you go into the valley, the more life there is. And so that's often the way our life is, right? Like that growth season was a
yeah.
divine gift, and the crisis remade me. I got the concept originally from William James. He had this concept of, once born, they kind of go through life pretty happy. They're lucky. They don't suffer too much. Their life is reasonably smooth. Everyone encounters tragedy, heartache, and setback. But then there's the twice born. Man, they go through a crisis, and they might even battle with depression or things like that. But they experience some real trials, real suffering. But then they get on the other side, and they're born again, and they see there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's meaning, and there's substance, and that the trials were there for their own growth and for them to be a vessel. But they also hold, like, you're holding what you have more delicately.
Yeah, I was thinking as you're climbing the mountain, you're so focused and so driven, you don't even see the damn wildlife. You pass right by them. Don't even know they're there.
Exactly.
At the top of the mountain, and you've established all of this hardship and trials, and like, holy crap, you look down there and you're like, how did I miss all that? Because you were so focused on achieve the mission, like, climb the mountain. You didn't even enjoy the journey. You didn't even see any of the beauty that you just walked right by.
Exactly.
The journey. You literally missed the journey. And I say that to my daughter all the time too. She's gonna be like, Daddy, don't do that. But I'm like, baby, you got to enjoy the journey. The journey really is. And I tell you what, that twice born, I very much had a very similar situation. Again, a divorce, father passed away. Anyway, it's just a litany. Mine were 4 major things that hit me right in the jaw, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 5. And it definitely makes you reevaluate priorities and shift your there. And I do genuinely feel like I've been given a twice born, a second chance. And in the military, if you survive what should have killed you, they have what's called an alive day. I think it's called live day. I don't want to do this disservice. I hope I'm not saying it. So I think it's called a live day or something like that. And they celebrate it like their birthday. And I love it. I didn't know it existed. I have some friends of mine and they told me about this. And this guy was in an IED attack and it blew off. Anyway, one of his arms is whatever. He's disfigured for the rest of his life. And it's in June. I can't remember. That's June something, like 19th or something, like June 20th or something like that. It's just a live day. And they literally celebrate it like a birthday. And I thought that was the coolest. Not cool that they went through the situation, but how they spun it into a positive, I guess is what I thought was so impressive about it. And it sounds like you're doing the same, dude. That is cool. I'm totally going to pick. You going to get an Audible? I'm an Audible guy.
It'll be on Audible too. Yeah. We're cranking through it, and it's going to be a beautiful guide for getting through a crisis and reattaching meaning to your story.
Man, I love that. Where do they go? Where do they go? How do people get in touch with you?
MikeZeller.com. That's Zeller. Okay. And then let's see. I have a little quiz that's there too, if you want to, like on really identifying. Are you living your life to the fullest? It's really a pretty cool process on that. And then I've got a Mike Zeller, or Michael R. Zeller is my Instagram, social media, Facebook, Michael Zeller, also LinkedIn, Michael Zeller as well. So
okay, so you're all over the place. So, Mike, I appreciate it a whole lot, man, coming on here and sharing some of that wisdom. And I love the way this conversation went today. This is awesome because you always hear podcasts about how, I made all this money. They're always talking about how it's always about the money making and the perceived fun part of the business. Does that make sense? That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't get into this real world stuff like this enough. And I feel like this is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing is because this is, by the way, this is how it really works, ladies and gentlemen. This is it right here. Depression. After I sold a multi-million dollar agency, I got depressed. What the fuck is that about? You know what I'm talking about? But there's reasons why. There's legitimate reasons why. It's not a poor Lee thing. That's not what I'm saying. But when you go through seasons of life and you've invested pretty much the majority of your life into that season and you transition into another season and it looks pretty dark and cold over there, regardless of the season you came from, it takes a little time to kind of transform into that role. That twice. I love that term, twice born, Mike. So, all right, man, I'm gonna wrap it up. Anything else you want to say? Or are we done?
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, Lee. Always a pleasure, brother.
All right, man. Thanks. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, let's get you over to the next episode. If you have not already, make sure to subscribe to my podcast. And if you are not following us on YouTube or in our private Facebook group, make sure to get over there and check those out as well. And of course, we're also available, always available at marketingagencycoach.com. Look forward to seeing you at all those channels, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.